Aloha, this is Anthony from the Open Power Quality Project. Today in this webcast, I'm going to show you how to connect your OPQ device to a wireless access point. This wireless access point can be your home or any public access point that you have some of the configuration details for. To get started, navigate to our homepage at openpowerquality.github.io, and that'll bring you to this page here. Once you're here, go ahead up and click Quick Start. Once you're on the Quick Start page, scroll down to Connecting to Wi-Fi, or you can select Connecting to Wi-Fi over here in the menu. The first thing you'll notice that before we can connect to the Wi-Fi, there's a few prerequisites that we have to meet. The first thing is you have to have a USB flash drive. The only way we can configure an OPQ device is to put a configuration file on a flash drive, plug that flash drive into the OPQ device, and then let it configure in that way. You also need to know the SSID. The SSID is also the name of the network that you want to connect to. You need to know the key or the password that your network uses. And finally, you need to know the type of security that your wireless network uses. Now, the most common type of security is WPA. There's also a lot of wireless networks out there that use web security, and there's also wireless networks that don't use any security. So once all those prerequisites are met, we're ready to connect the device to the wireless network. So to do this, let me go ahead and give you a quick overview of the steps here. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to create this text file called WiFi config.txt, and I'm going to show you how to configure that in just a few seconds. You're then going to copy that config file to a USB drive. You will then power on the OPQ device, wait for 2 minutes to make sure that the OPQ device is fully booted, insert the USB drive into the available USB slot on the OPQ device, wait for another 2 minutes while the device configures its wireless interfaces, and then remove the USB drive from the OPQ device, and finally restart the OPQ device. And at this point, it should connect to your wireless network. So let's go ahead and go through these steps in detail. The first thing you'll note is that we need to create a file called WiFi config.txt. So let's go ahead and do that. You can open up your favorite text editor. Let's just save and create a blank file here. So let's go over to home, and let's go ahead and create WiFi config.txt. Now, the one thing that's important to note here is that the file name is very important. It has to be Wi-Fi config.txt with a dash in between. It can't be anything else. And the reason is when you insert the USB drive into the OPQ device, it's going to specifically look for a file called Wi-Fi config.txt. It's going to look for that so it knows how to configure its wireless network. So let's go ahead and create that file. All right, we have Wi-Fi config.txt. And the next thing we need to do is edit the file with our wireless information. So the easiest thing to do is to scroll down on our Quick Start page until you see example Wi-Fi config.txt. And we can go ahead and copy it. So select it, copy it, come back to your text editor, and paste it. And now that we have it pasted, you can see that we have a template. And all we have to do now is edit that template. You'll see that there's 4 lines on the Wi-Fi config.txt. The first line simply says Wi-Fi config in brackets. That line will never change. That's simply an identification line that tells the OPQ device what kind of configuration we're doing. So you'll never have to edit this first line. The only lines you're going to edit are the second, third, and fourth lines. So the first line says SSID. Remember, the SSID is the name of your wireless network that you're trying to connect to. So if the name of your wireless network is perhaps Malka House, or maybe it's just Malka. If the name of your wireless network is Malka, then we'll simply make the wireless network Malka. The next thing we need to do is change the key. So this is the password for your wireless network. So let's pretend that our password is ABC123. And then finally, we need to specify the security type of the wireless network. Now, there's 3 types of security that we currently support. We support WEP security, and if you want it to be WEP, you simply type WEP. We can support WPA, which also works for WPA2. So security type equal to WPA will work for both WPA1 and WPA2. And then finally, if there's no security on your wireless network, simply specify it as none. So, and that's all we have to do to actually configure the text file, and that's the text file. So once we have the text file, let's go ahead and look at the next step. That's power on your OPQ device. So to power on your OPQ device, simply plug it into the wall and then wait for 2 minutes to make sure that the device is fully booted. This is important. If you try to plug in the USB stick too early, the proper programs may not be running yet to configure the wireless interface. After you've waited 2 minutes for the device to be fully booted, insert the USB drive into the available USB slot on the device. It should simply go right in. One of the USB slots has the wireless USB adapter, and the other slot will be available for you to plug your USB drive into. After you've inserted the USB drive into the device, make sure you wait for another 2 minutes so that the device has time to configure the wireless network. After you've waited for 2 minutes, remove the USB drive from the OPQ device, and then finally restart the OPQ device. And once the device is restarted, it should be connected to the wireless network. Now, if you have any trouble at all, whenever the OPQ device does its configuration, it creates a file called Wi-Fi config.log, and that file should be written back to your USB drive once you take it out of the OPQ device. So if it's not connecting to the wireless, take a look at Wi-Fi config.log, and you should see error messages there for the reason why the wireless wasn't set up correctly. Of course, if you have any problems or any questions, please feel free to contact us, and hopefully you're now able to set up your OPQ device to wireless easily. All right, thank you.